The silliness in this episode was off the charts. What do you mean you expect me not to laugh when you're literally singing a song to kill a curse? My hair kinda looks good today. By the way, if I seem to have puffy eyes, that's because I was watching Heartstopper Season 3 last night. Was anyone else expecting this amount of sadness in this season? I mean, I haven't read the comics since it was like a webcomic and I stopped around the Paris strip. I wasn't expecting to be so sad. The whole of episode 4, I was bawling my eyes out. I fell asleep with tears in my eyes. But anyway, this isn't about Heartstopper. That will be the video I'll be making very soon. I will be going through Agatha All Along episode 4 kind of chronologically, mostly. This wasn't an especially rich episode in clues and developments, but let's go through it. First, Agatha's comment and kind of wink to the kid at the beginning made me think that 1, she was expecting Heart to die, 2, maybe that's why she brought her there, and 3, once again, Agatha knows way more than she's letting on. Second, we find out that Lorna Wu, mother to the Blood Witch Alice Wu, died during her last tour in a hotel fire. Question number 1, could she not be dead and be an agent of Mephisto? The way that I want to bring this creature into the story at any cost is insane. Question number 2, could she be the dead person we will be talking to in this season? Because, as I've mentioned in my first video, in the end credits there's a reference to like a kind of seance session to talk to the dead. I assumed it was going to be Wanda. Could it be Lorna? Plus, later on in the episode, we discover the most tragic and just sad thing about Lorna Wu that now makes me even more sad because I'm already sad from Heartstopper and now I have to deal with this. She kept singing the ballad on tour, hoping that 4 other witches or magical enough people would be in the crowd singing with her and then open the gate to the Witches' Road. Is that not the saddest thing you've heard? Like, imagine going on stage night after night after night singing this song that you know is a spell and a very powerful magic, hoping that 4 random people in the crowd would also be witches or magical people and you would open this road where you could run to or potentially, kill the curse, as we will see soon. How tragic is that? Like, she probably spent years doing that. And the second tragic thing we learn about this song is that it's actually a protective spell. And that's why Alice is still alive. Because she created a version of the ballad that not only would open the road, but also is a protection spell to Alice from this generational curse that they are under. So at any given time in the world, someone is playing this song, and it's literally continuously being played and the spell is continuously being sung or put into words and is still active. Like, is that not cool? Like, the whole thing of using a song to kill a curse and singing a ballad to kill a curse is silly. Completely silly. But the idea that this musician / witch created a song as a spell that was so popular that to this day, there hasn't probably been a second where that song is not being played around the world, so the spell lingers on and it keeps protecting her daughter. Is that not cool? Alice didn't come to the road to save her mother. She can't. She's dead. She came to the road because her mother told her this was the only way that she could save herself. Potentially by breaking the curse, which we will see soon. Third, we do need another Earth Witch. In my previous video, I was wondering if this would be the boy, but no. They summon another Earth Witch. And who returns to the show? The Queen, Abrey Plaza. Oh, and by the way, it is explained that Rio appears just because she was the closest, like distance-wise, physical distance-wise, she was the closest to them. Which sounds kind of like bullshit, doesn't it? And the funny thing is, Rio does not give a shit about what's going on. And Agatha kind of says that she's a tourist there, implying that she's not actually affected by what happens in the world. She's just there to enjoy it, I guess. Side note number 1. While they are discussing summoning another Earth Witch, the kid says people can't be replaced. To which Agatha replies, can't they? This will be important for later, so keep it on your mind. Side note number 2, once Rio appears, the lesbian vibes are so immaculate, I wanted to jump inside the screen. 4. We see the next house for the next challenge/test, and the moon is in the waxing crescent, and this test is for the Blood Witch. 5. Before the kid triggers the next test, we get some really good and informative references around the house. Reference number 1, the divination witch sees 4 murals or paintings on the wall of what appear to be witches being either burnt alive or trapped, like with ropes and to a chair and stuff like that. And over the course of this episode, we get a few more moments where this witch, the divination witch, appears to be hallucinating / having flashbacks, or potentially being possessed by someone, where she just out of nowhere says something completely out of context. One of the witches, the potion witch, later on actually even asks her, like, where do you go? Because it's such a stark contrast to the way that she normally speaks that you can tell it can't be her speaking. Remember in the last episode when they were all hallucinating and this woman had an hallucination in Italian, but then moments before that she was with Agatha and all of a sudden just screamed at Agatha, please save Agatha, or you have to save Agatha, or something like that. I think someone was possessing her, and it wasn't actually the witch speaking. It was someone speaking through her body. Because in this episode, she once again has an interaction like that, this time with Alice. She's looking at some pictures and posters on the wall related to Lorna Wu, and all of a sudden she says, which is it? Am I Wispy or am I Cookie? And she says this in a way that it isn't her speaking. Then she turns to Alice and says, Alice, don't. And I am certain, to the core of my being, I am certain that this was Lorna Wu speaking through the divination witch. So the wall with Lorna Wu stuff was reference number 2. Reference number 3 is the potions witch looking at a bunch of like devil masks, potentially Mephisto masks, on the wall. And I think this is related to what she tells us later in the episode, because she explains to the rest of the witches how she lost her power, how she was bound. She says that she's not only a witch, but she's also a carpenter and a midwife. She was tricked into going to the Obstetrics Association of Greater Boston to show her expertise. And then the man that we saw in the vision from last episode was able to bound her without magic. Now, her looking at those masks of potentially Mephisto cannot be a random coincidence. Could he have been behind this? 6. Still before the challenge, there is a weird interaction between Rio and Agatha that makes me think that 1, Agatha doesn't actually intend to kill all those witches. 2, both Agatha and Rio know who the kid is, or at least they think they know. And this is going to lead me to another tragic aspect of this episode later on. And 3, why in the world would Rio say to Agatha that after she kills all those witches, she will get her power back, and she, Rio, will get her buddies? I'm sorry, what? I know I'm missing a lot of the lore, but how could a bunch of witches dying mean that Rio will get a bunch of buddies? What kind of business with death does she have? Oh, she's an earth witch. They will go back to the earth. Is that what it is? Does she like hang out with corpses that are buried in the dirt? Oh my god, is she going to use their bodies for power? Is it like Agatha gets power from their powers and then Rio gets power from their bodies on the ground? In the ground. So sorry, English is my second language. Sometimes I don't know when to use in or on. 7. The kid starts the second challenge, which they have to pick up instruments and sing the ballad, Lorna Woo's version, and that will kill the curse. Which actually, the curse manifests into this really ugly being. Yeah. I'm sorry. That was silly. Like, I'm enjoying the season. I really am. But that was silly. And also, are we going to listen to this song every second episode of this season? They really want to sell, don't they? They really want this to go to like the top of the charts. Anyway, regardless of the silliness, we get some interesting information. Number 1, as soon as the challenge is triggered, Alice immediately feels lighter, which I think implies that the curse has been distributed to the other witches. Secondly, Rio was the only person who wasn't affected by the curse, so I think Agatha really meant she was a tourist and nothing will affect her, and potentially they didn't even need her. I guess we'll find out in future episodes. 3. Why was the attack on the kid different? All of them were attacked by having like that silvery stuff around them, but the kid was thrown through a window. Was it potentially not the curse? Was it potentially someone else trying to expose Agatha? Agatha's feelings for the boy? Potentially Rio? 8. The kid almost dies, which reveals a lot. 1. How much Agatha actually cares for him. 2. How interested Rio really is in how much Agatha cares for the kid. 3. That the potions witch is becoming stronger. This must mean that the road is already working and the potions witch is already getting her powers back. I mean, the Blood Witch got what she wanted. The curse has been killed, so she no longer has a generational curse on her shoulders. And about Agatha and Rio, this is where I bring back the note about Agatha saying that it is possible to replace people, because we find out that Rio, well, we don't find out, but it's implied that Rio was involved in the whole business between Agatha and her son. Potentially she was the one who had to take the son away from Agatha. And if Rio really has something to do with death, or with like souls after death, or something like that, she might have been the one to take the son from Agatha in exchange for the Book of the Damned. So when she says that she loved someone and she had to hurt them because it was her job, even though she didn't want to do it, that has to be about Agatha and her son. Because later on, Rio is talking to Agatha. They have like a moment of affection because they clearly love each other and they have for a very long time. They have a moment of affection where Rio says, "He's not yours," referring to the kid. So what we have basically confirmed is that Agatha believes that's him. Agatha believes that's her son. And Rio, maybe she knows it's Billy, maybe she doesn't, but knows it's not her son because she knows where her son is. She knows something and she says, "Yeah, that's not your kid." And that was just absolutely heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And the fact that it involves the same actor that plays Charlie in Heartstopper is sending me. Because why is my heart being broken by these two characters of this year? This is the problem with watching kids shows or teen shows, because they're very wholesome and cute until they're not. Because I think we forget too quickly how traumatizing the movies and TV shows from our childhood were. I think we forget Bambi too quickly. and we forget the Lion King too quickly. And then we just are immersed in all the cuteness and the wholesomeness, and we feel our inner child healing. And then season 3 drops. Yeah. Agatha and the kid talk about the sigil, and Agatha says that she wasn't the one who put it there, but even if she was the one who put it there, she wouldn't know, because the sigil works on the witch who cast it as well. And the only way the sigil will be destroyed is when it's no longer needed. Now, I made a poll on my channel, and before recording it, I checked it. 180 people, I think, had answered the poll, and only 12% of you thought that the kid is Agatha's son. 88% of you thought it was Wanda's son. So I'm clearly on the losing side, but if it really does turn out to be Wanda's son, at least I hope they can use the fact that Wanda is most probably gone, hopefully not, and use the fact that Agatha's son is most probably gone, hopefully not, and create this wholesome relationship between Agatha and Billy so they can help each other. You know, Billy lost his mother and Agatha lost her son. They can help each other in that way, I guess. But something about what Agatha said to the kid, she said, you don't need to know someone's name to know who they are. It just gives me hope that the kid is Agatha's son. And that is all I have for you today, my little pearls. I will see you Tuesday with a video about how I would rewrite Wednesday season 1. Because we all need it, don't we? Season 2 is coming, and I think there could have been a way to write a very similar story for Wednesday season 1 and just make it better. Of course, I say this having absolutely no professional experience and no knowledge of how these things are done. Doesn't seem to stop me anyway. Goodbye. Have a good day and have a good weekend, and potentially go watch Heartstopper season 3, and well, I hope your heart doesn't break, but if it does, what